Hey y'all, this is Wilhelmina Sparrow from Sparrow International. Follow me on Instagram, Sparrow INTL, and my Facebook, Sparrow INTL. Website coming to you soon. Today's message. This one's to my so-called fellow activists out there. Ladies and gentlemen, activism, it's not an opportunity to vent. It's not an opportunity to be an asshole to someone else because you feel like you've been mistreated. Activism is an act of service. It's a recognition that there's an injustice that many on multiple levels experience and the need to change it, and putting yourself out there is doing that. Now, I have a lot of people out there who love to call themselves activists, but they're really just antagonists. And you know who you are. So stop giving activism a bad name. It's because of that reason, my conservatives out there, those who have been benefiting off of the current establishment of things, I understand. I get it. Life has not shown you that type of injustice, so how can you understand? How can you relate? Well, that's where activism comes in. It's supposed to help you communicate. The oppressed party is trying to communicate to. So, as I was saying, before I was interrupted by the phrase announcements, activism. The whole point of it, ladies and gentlemen, you see, Martin Luther King Jr. had it right. Malcolm X had it right too. They didn't go out recklessly and with all abandon become antagonistic towards others. No, they shined a light on an injustice that was happening to a group of people and then demanded legislation change, came up with some solutions on how to change that, had a very active part in those changes. And even though at one point they were opposing each other, they eventually came together, which was why they were killed. So activism has been given a bad name because I will tell you why. See, I've acted as a liaison for between police and community during COVID's rise in protests, and the NYPD had successfully, along with the activists that had organized the protests, had successfully worked together to prevent escalation. And you know who was committing those acts of vandalism and those acts of arson? It was not the activists that were protesting, ladies and gentlemen. It was the infiltrators, the opposing party who was not want the change, the racist individuals that the activism was trying to shine a light on. They sent their daughters and sons to infiltrate the protests, and those were the ones who were committing those acts. And then they would get arrested, and then, of course, because of political pull on the parts of their parents, they didn't get out there. And then the media focused on the drama and not the truth. But they didn't want to focus on who was creating the drama. And that is why so many of you out there fear activism today and have decided to use political correctness to oppress the voice of those who are speaking out loud and clear that there is an injustice within our system. See, one of the injustices that has been overlooked, or maybe just missed because right after we realized judicial reform was needed and systemic racism was a thing, well, they definitely don't want you to recognize systemic trafficking. So now, I've noticed that there are people of different types of parties that take on the hats of activism, but they really don't have good intentions for the communities they serve. And in fact, they either give activism a bad name or even worse, well, from their behavior. Like being antagonistic and cursing people out, that's not activism. Activists don't curse people out unless they are, even me, I'm an activist and I don't even curse people out. I'll call you out in your bullshit. I might say a curse word or two, but cursing you out, what results will that produce? If I am creating a dialogue between an individual that I'm looking to accomplish change with, why would I even alienate myself to curse you out, to call you names? I don't make sense. When I'm speaking with um, the community's affairs department, I'm speaking with my NYPD out here, if I'm trying to speak with my other community leaders, I'm not cursing at them. I am speaking with them. I am trying to have them meet me at my level and come to their level to create a dialogue and solutions. And then there are those who are putting videos out there of what activism is, and they're just being antagonistic and they're being combative. That's not activism. If you, my brothers and sisters out there of humanity, white, black, Asian, Spanish, LGBTQ, if you're out there fighting for change, do it right. Follow the example that our leaders who died for the changes that you see, that we're building upon today, make their deaths worth it. Don't discredit the work by going out there being antagonistic and abusive and verbally and mentally abusive to those you're trying to get to make change their minds. That's where yours truly check you, and I'll give you a dose of your own medication. How dare you take from a movement that was built on the bloods and backs of others and discredit it with your behavior and your bitterness. Activism does not have no place for that. Activism is supposed to be an act of love, an act of self-sacrifice, and recognition comes once you produce results. So, ladies and gentlemen, to make it very clear, fighting against human trafficking and understanding that you've got what it takes to get people's attention does not compute as you are hoeing yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, my anger, my righteous anger, is because people want to put me out there like that. And that's why I am taking a stance against trafficking and systemic trafficking, because we all have to recognize the part that we play in contributing to this. For an example, they weaponize your jealousies. That's it. So simple. Why would you want to let someone come up that you envy and hate because they might look better than you doing what they're doing? I say, if you have a problem with that, then find what you're good at. Find what your appeal is. And as you go down that journey of self-discovery, you will understand how much more you can accomplish. Because leading with hate is only going to produce more hate. You got to lead with love. You got to lead with forgiveness in your heart. And being angry, righteously angry, is not the same as being hateful. So don't misunderstand anger. I want you out there to be angry, because what's happening to children and women and men all over this country is horrendous. We have sold out for money. We have sold out for comfort. We can't even raise our children without the fear of someone else intervening in our lives to tell us how to. Children aren't even really protected. Child protective services don't even truly protect the children that they help. In fact, foster homes are a processing center for kids to get raped and further trafficked. That's what I'm angry about. I'm angry that people use the so-called gift of protecting children as a weapon and a tool to sell them to child pornography, to sell them to the streets, or drugs trafficking, or gun trafficking. Ladies and gentlemen, you should be angry that this is happening right in our own backyard. Ladies and gentlemen that migrated here from other countries, didn't you come here to escape that? So why are we allowing it to happen in our backyard? Just because it's decorated behind a nice little white picket fence and the person who's doing it could wear a business suit and play the image, quote unquote. Then maybe there's something wrong with how we perceive what is right and what is wrong. Maybe we need to change that. And then stop demonizing activism because you see the emotions that come with it. Because the only way change can happen is if you get upset enough and get angry enough to want to do something about it. And then those out there, let's check those who want to wear hats of activists and they just really want to be antagonists. Ladies, how are we going to fight? How are we going to fight as Me Too, but meanwhile, it's each other. We're doing it to each other. We're being so catty. We're suffering from body image issues, insecurities of hoping to find a husband and love. And then as soon as we come together, as soon as that one narcissistic man gets in the mix of it all, we are cutting each other's throats. Yours truly has been guilty of this at one point too. So I'm not patronizing you, saying you're all wrong and I'm righteous. I'm saying look at how we've contributed to the problem. We've all, consciously and unconsciously, contributed to the issues of systemic trafficking and the effects it has on our lives. And we need to legalize sex work so that we can protect our children and our women and our men from being forced and coerced. As long as we make certain things illegal, drugs, sex work, etc. Here in New York City, it's not even legal to carry a gun. So you open the door for an underground market to exist, and then for sicknesses to thrive and profit. We need to focus on our mental health and healing what that has manifested in each and every one of us. I'm angry, but I don't want to be angry no more. I'm angry because my husband's in an urn because people wanted to traffic me and my family. I'm angry because when I cried out for help and I reached out to my leaders, they understood what was happening, but because of bureaucratic policies and quote-unquote diplomacies, it was ignored, and they watched this man die of a cancer that could have been preventable. Of his death, at least, could have been preventable. Maybe the cancer wasn't preventable. His death from it could have been. I watched him be so scared and getting treatment because he saw that they withheld his cancer from him. And they didn't give him his diagnosis. So when they wanted to treat him, he felt they were going to experiment on him. I watched this man fight when they tried to overdose him with medication against his will because he wanted a fighting chance to live through his cancer naturally and holistically. So they expedited his death, knowing his body was too weak to fight the medication. This injustice, that's called righteous anger. But do I want to hurt you, ladies and gentlemen out there, for that? No. I just want you to listen. I want you to make changes in the areas that these individuals were able to use. 1, discrimination. 2, the family court system. 3, child protective services. He died trying to protect his daughter from being molested, and they were trying to cover it up. The paperwork's out there. paper trail's there. You can't hide the truth. But I don't want to sit here and spill my emotions over you. What I want to do is come together and unite and cry out for changes in these areas so that this way no one has to lose their family to an injustice like that. Yes, if we recognize there is systemic racism, well, what do you think happened to this black man when in a medical system? Through welfare in the homeless shelters, all for the sake of gentrification. And my gentrifiers out there, my individuals that migrated out here from New York, you have to understand that New Yorkers are just angry over what was done to them and their families in order for you to move into those buildings. Because there were a lot of people who grew up in those buildings, had childhoods, and did not want to leave and had a right to want to stay. So what they did was they destroyed their families. And they weaponized their health. Excuse me. And they weaponized their health and medical situation against them. So these issues really do exist. If systemic systemic racism exists, so does systemic trafficking. Recognize to both go correlated, hand in hand. And then all I want is to change the laws. All I want to do is prevent another family from being destroyed for the sake of money. We lost the concept of the value of family and what that really means to people. It doesn't matter what they sound like. It doesn't matter if they wear their pants low below their butts, or a yarmulke over their head, or who they worship, or how they worship. That does not matter. That is not a reason to destroy people. So let's make discrimination not only a civil matter, because there are many good people out there who can't afford a lawyer or go to court and sue. And then on top of that, when you're trying to sue for an injustice that's happening to you, it gets twisted like you just want the money. Let's make discrimination punishable under penal law and unite our policing community so that our police can arrest on behalf of the community. Let's prevent, since psychological issues have came to a rise and mental health has risen to an all-time high where it's basically a pandemic out there. Let's make inciting individuals with mental health punishable under penal law. Let's protect our emotional health and our mental health as well. Let's protect our families and our children. If the world is harsh out there and we are aware that they abuse us, well, let's make laws to protect us from that abuse. That's all I'm saying. So, I hope the message reaches out loud and clear, and our antagonistic individuals, when the time's right, we will handle you accordingly.